Welcome to a new video. Let's take a look at some new malicious compliance stories. The first story is called, That's Fine. About 10 years ago, I was working as a software deployment engineer for the United Kingdom branch of a Brazilian company that is owned by a company in the United States. There were 3 of us for the entire world, all based in the United Kingdom. Our roles comprised of flying somewhere on a Monday, building configuration and labs in the local United States company office, training their staff, updating code if things didn't work before deploying their first site for them while they watched. They would do the second while you shadowed them, and then they'd do the third with you at the hotel but on call. A typical country engagement was 3 to 6 months because you'd be bouncing anywhere between 4 countries at a time. Each week a different one. Then came a new human resource manager for Europe. Each week we would blast a timesheet to human resources, to allow them to send it to Brazil, who would bill the company. Quickly the new manager notices that each of us is clocking in around 30 hours of overtime a week. Simply because the contract stated that the moment we left our houses on a Monday or Sunday, we were classed as working because of the international travel. We enjoyed this clause because time and a half for 30 hours a week was lovely. But that did mean that the further from the United Kingdom we went, the quicker we hit the limit of 40 hours per week. My record was hitting 40 hours by lunchtime on a Tuesday due to spending 27 hours flying to Sydney. As I said, the manager didn't like that we were going so far over the 40-hour limit in both our contracts and in the United Kingdom. I sat down with her and explained that it was just the nature of the job and that we didn't mind because we got overtime for it. She wasn't happy, talking about processes and that they wouldn't be paying overtime for over hours from a certain date. Throughout the meeting, she was abrasive and rude, like she was talking to a child, not the highest billed technical resource in the company. Naturally, we were quite annoyed by this. But there was very little we could do. The overtime wasn't in our contracts as we were salaried employees, and it was a perk that we were given. I grabbed the other 2 in a quick huddle and we formulated a plan. We briefed our respective project managers, employees of the United States company, and they each agreed. The next Monday, one coworker flew to Finland, another one flew to Austria, and I flew to Kazakhstan. Naturally, I hit the 40-hour cap the quickest, and at mid-morning Wednesday, with only half of the urgent work completed for the week, I tell the project manager that I'll pick him and our file maintenance resource up when they want before jumping in the car and heading back to the hotel. I text my coworkers and let them know that it is time to start the plan. Later on that day, the first coworker does the same. All the while, this has been escalated both via my project manager and the local company manager back to the United States head office. And they escalated it back to my Brazil head office and down to our office. By Thursday morning my time, I get an email saying they won't pay overtime but will give time off as compensation. Quick text-based huddle, and the other 2 are happy with that. I'd prefer the overtime, but if I get to an additional 2 days of paid holiday a week to my holiday balance, then I will take it. So we agree and go back to work. The new manager is suitably browbeaten for her mistake, and then even more so when she realizes that time off compensation has to be taken in a monthly cycle, meaning each of us had around a week off paid per month. The next story is called, Don't Come to Class If You Are Not Happy. This happened in France. There are specific courses, lasting for 2 years right after high school. These have the sole purpose to prepare students for enrollment in the top universities in the country. Because of the heavy workload, these classes are famous for obliging students to spend their time working instead of enjoying a social life. Not a very enjoyable experience for the student, but you usually get out with an excellent level in the topic chosen. Mine was maths. 2 years of very hard work later, I decided that the universities usually targeted at the end of these courses do not offer what I want to do. I want to do computer science. I find the perfect university for me, focusing on my specific interests. And I am accepted. What I can say, though, is that the level of mathematics I had at this point was ways beyond the required one to pass the year. It was nonetheless mandatory. So be it. The course is composed of about 100 students from my courses and about 50 more coming from less demanding 2 years of university. So we got back to the basics. The first day of maths class. The teacher was rather apathetic, but nothing unheard of. Basics, some class about signal decomposition, nothing very complicated. I am not really listening as this is very basic stuff, and from the looks of it, I can say I wasn't alone. Then it was exercise time and I solved the problem in 2 minutes. Curious about seeing me finishing it so fast, the teacher comes, has a look over my shoulder, and starts yelling at me, "What is this?" The solution to the problem. You are not solving it the correct way. This is not at all what I taught you. To be fair, in this case, this other theorem is directly applicable and is much more efficient. Stop discussing. You are in my class now. I don't care what you learned in previous years. Forget everything and apply what I tell you. Don't try to pretend you are smart. But this is stupid. If you're not happy about it, the door is open. I did not follow years of studies to forget everything and start over each time a fragile teacher is in the way. I stood up and got out. I never got back again in that class. The university policy on attendance is lax. Although attendance or lack thereof is kept track of, they did not really care about it as long as you pass the final exam. I meet the teacher often in the corridors that year. He would throw cold looks at me, but nothing really out of the ordinary happened. Until a few days before the exam, when he told me, "You will never pass. Have fun." What he did not know is that I never attended, but still studied the program, thanks to great friends. On the day of the exam, all good. The exam sheet is anonymous and mixed with other students from other groups, so there is no way for him to tell which copy is mine. I got the third highest mark in the whole university, missing some points because of a stupid mistake. We never talked again, but from his looks, I can tell he was boiling inside. 2 years later at the graduation ceremony, guess who was on stage, handing me my diploma, with the coldest congratulations I ever received in my life? The third story is called, "Sure, we will hit your useless targets." Let me first start by stating that this happened in one of the top companies in the food sector in this country. In the sales department. The sales team consists of very capable people. It's important because we had to do everything in terms of sales. This means searching for potential clients, making them warm so they sign and finishing the contract. But also things such as background checks and follow-ups. So there is more work happening than only selling. The manager we had was a delight to work for. Working under her enabled us to be more autonomous. We knew what our monthly targets were and had to work up to that. Nothing else mattered. That's what was important for her and the higher-ups. The targets were quarterly calculated by the analysts and double-checked by our manager if they were realistic. The team consists of 10 to 15 people. Everyone has their own region, some in a different country. This way there is no hostility between the salespersons. And everybody works around their own schedule, some like doing certain tasks before lunch on a Friday and others on a Tuesday. But it doesn't matter because we always hit the target, which is not an easy one either. And during the quarterly meetings, all the numbers are green. In comes a new manager. The guy is a mess. I can list at least 15 things why he shouldn't manage people, but that's not why we are here for. But the worst part is that he wants to be magically better than the previous manager and increase sales 4 times during the first month he's in charge. We always said our concerns about the changes to him, but he's a guy with a plan. This is how he would try to reach his goals. First, he made us log everything we did 3 times. We keep logs of everything we do in the system, so it's stored in the database for archives and such. We also keep notes on a shared Excel sheet, which helps the analyst for making targets. All this logging wasn't enough, he wanted us to make another sheet just for him, without an analyst or higher-up in it, where he could put remarks on for the team to see, probably because the remarks weren't about improving but about how we were lazy. But we did what the man asked for. Secondly, he doesn't like it that if he wants to check his team he has to check them individually. What does he make us do? Use one mail for the whole team. So me and my colleagues, also those who speak another language, because sales for different countries but also the same team, have one shared mailbox. The only distinction we have is the signatures at the end of the reply mails or our names mentioned by the client in their mail. You can already see the mess from this. This change alone made working in an organized fashion difficult. But guess what, here comes change number 3. The targets. The targets are based on being profitable and also being realistic. Considering we do more than just calling or mailing the clients. He thinks that everything else that is beside a client putting ink on the paper is a waste of time. So he recalculates the targets using the logs we filled for him and gave us around 30 minutes per day for all the other stuff we do. All these combined made the following scenario possible. In comes the quarterly meeting, of course with a report from an analyst that compared results with previous years and other teams. Every single number is red. We failed for almost everything. Remember that up until now the only number that mattered for him as a monthly target was the number of clients that signed. Our team had failed for everything but that. Lucky for us, we hit his target, so we all had our bonus while having the worst quarter. What was the fallout of this? The changes he made were so big, he basically minimized some heavy time-consuming tasks in a way where we didn't have time to do them at all. And with no time I mean, him constantly coming up to us to say, "Aren't you already doing that for too long now? Get back to calling." As before mentioned, every salesperson has his own region. If more clients want to stop working with us in a specific region within the first 3 months, or clients who agreed upon the service weeks ago but faulty integration meant they still couldn't use the service and now they want to stop, we would know which region and evidently who as a salesperson is doing a bad job. Soon he started finding weak spots in the team. With weak spots, I meant colleagues. It would be that salesperson's fault for being lazy or having a slow working attitude that led to those clients to leave or not be satisfied with us as a company. First, he targeted the colleague who worked there for the longest. He was really used to the other system and had an attitude of "this is already stupid, why put the effort in it?" Honestly, he was the one suffering the most from these changes because he had the biggest clients. All these clients care more about the service, the less important tasks, we provided. The manager would sometimes sit next to him 4 to 5 hours a day just to help him improve what he does. But then he would complain to us, as a manager behind his back, about how many stupid mistakes he makes and how bad he is. This is a big red flag for me. A manager that talks dirt behind his own team members. Especially when that salesperson was doing a good job prior to him. This led to him having meetings with the higher-ups. To be fair, during these meetings the manager would point out the guy's failing points, which in the manager's new way of working were indeed real failing points for him. But contacting 3 to 4 times more small or medium clients cannot be compared to him calling big high-profile clients. But the new manager convinced the higher-ups that if you would compare him with the rest of the team, it looked like he was slacking off. He was getting ready to be fired. Next, the manager started looking at my region and started asking questions. But really he was just trying to find a way to pressure me. I had the biggest region, so more clients contacted and signed, but with all the other stuff I was way behind. And him coming more often to my desk and monitoring me for 4 to 5 hours didn't help either, because then he didn't allow me to do the other things. And also he was mad when I ran fast through my list of potential clients. With no time for preparing for a call, the conversion rate will drop. And he kept saying, "This team member does it much better," without considering the differences in the regions and country. Well, I got the hint, started looking for another job fast. Before I left, the higher-ups started asking questions. They saw the same mistakes as the guy that was getting ready to be fired but couldn't understand why we aren't motivated enough anymore. It's not motivation, we have the wrong goals we work up to now. So in the end, I gave in my notice and left. The week I wasn't there, the other guy got fired. And now 2 others left. Last, I heard it was still a wreck. The last story is called, "Sorry, You Are Not the Account Holder." I got divorced a few years ago, and not long after, my ex moved to a different country. We still had a joint account. I know it should have been cancelled, but it was overlooked. The only transaction still happening on it was for a home alarm. We were 3 years in on a 5-year contract and the fee was approximately $75 per month. The joint account also had a $1,000 overdraft. I started preparing to sell my home and called the alarm company to see about cancelling my account. If you have tried to cancel an alarm contract, you know how impossible they make it. I am selling my home and would like to cancel my alarm. Can you give me the username and password? I gave them a username and password. I'm sorry, but that is not correct. I have the contract in front of me and that is what it says on the contract. Sorry, but that is not correct. It must have been changed. Okay, let's change it. Sorry sir, you are not the account holder. You need the account holder to change the password and to authorize any changes to the account. I looked closer at the contract and saw that the ex signed it. It looks like my ex signed the contract, but we are divorced and she has moved out of the country. I'm sorry sir, but without her authorization, we cannot make any changes to the account. Things are not amicable between us and she will not call you to make any changes. I'm sorry, sir, but we cannot help you then. I would really like to get this taken care of. Sorry, we can't help without the account holder's authorization. I can't get that. Then there is nothing we can do. You need to send someone to collect your alarm and various sensors then, as I will no longer be paying the bill. Sir, that's not the way this works. You are contractually obligated for the full term of the contract and then the equipment is yours to keep. I will no longer be paying the bill. In that case, we will send this to collections and ruin your credit score. I am pretty sure you said I am not the account holder, and according to the contract I have in front of me, the contract is between you and my ex, so I am done paying her bill. Sir, you can't do that. That is not ethical. You have told me that according to your rules you can't work with me, so I am just going to follow your rules. The next day I head into my bank and try to cancel the direct debit transaction. I am informed that I can't cancel it, only the originator of the direct debit can cancel it, and with the originator being the alarm company, that is not likely. I live in Canada and those are the rules, at least according to my bank. They tell me I can manually cancel a transaction but that I have to come into the branch to do it, and I have to do it every month. For 3 months I do this, but it is really annoying as I work 45 minutes out of town and my workday happens to be the same as bank hours, so a special trip is needed and time off work to do this. After 3 months I went back to the bank and asked if there is any other way to sort this out. I explained the situation with the alarm company and how they won't work with me as I am not the account holder and how I can't get the account holder to participate. They empathize but tell me that they can't help. I would like to close the account then. Sorry, it requires both signatures to close the account due to the way it was set up. I can't get the other signature. We won't be able to close the account then. I have been transferring money each month to cover this alarm fee and I won't be doing that anymore, so we need to close this account so it does not incur overdraft fees and charges. We can't close the account or stop the direct debit. Can I take myself off the account? Yes, you can remove yourself from the account. Okay, let's do that. And with that, he removes me from the account. Do I have any liability on this account anymore? No, you are no longer an account holder. You do realize that by me no longer transferring money into this account, the alarm fee will keep coming out each month and run the overdraft up? That's okay. We will deal with it. 10 months later I get a call from the bank. My number was still listed as the contact number. Sir, you have an overdrawn account to the tune of $1,300 and change due to the fees, overdraft charges, and interest. I ask them who the account holder is and they name my ex. I say, then this isn't my problem. The response is, you are an account holder on this account. I describe the entire problem and they respond with, you need to pay this. I am sorry, I say, I tried everything to reconcile this with my branch and they did not want to work with me, and as I am not the account holder, it is no longer my problem. The bank then responded, well, who is going to pay this overdue balance? I responded with, you will need to talk to the account holder. The bank responds with, sir, that is not very ethical. You told me that your ex is no longer in the country. My response before I hung up was, I tried to work with you but your rules would not allow it, so I am simply following your rules. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. Let me know what you think about the stories in the comment section below. Have a great day. Bye bye.